Chapter 1 Trial of Civilization, the last civilization on Earth, final announcement. The next civilization trial will officially arrive in 3 days. Please note to those who survived, new monsters will randomly appear around us and be replaced by any of our relatives, friends, and colleagues. The state machine is now completely paralyzed. Whether you can survive the 13th civilization trial can only depend on yourselves. Just yesterday, all 30 million people in the United States died at the hands of monsters, and the country was officially declared annihilated. Although I am very reluctant to admit it, the end of mankind has really arrived. Sorry, we have tried our best. China Yanjing, the originally prosperous capital, has long been in dilapidated condition. A piece of ruins. On both sides of the road, exposed corpses can be seen everywhere. Their expressions are different, but without exception, despair and panic were written on his face. Above the ruins, from time to time, you can see monster figures flying around, licking their bright red lips, their pupils flashing with a bloodthirsty monster light, searching for the last surviving humans. Here, it is no longer human territory. It has completely become their home, and thousands of meters underground in Yanjing.an underground broadcast room. After Yang Mo finished this announcement, he put down the phone with a tired look on his face. Just now, it was he who broadcast the news through the radio. The huge underground base was extremely empty. No one spoke to him or communicated with him. His colleagues, superiors, have all died at the hands of various monsters. Perhaps at this moment, he was the only living person left in Yanjing City, which once had a population of tens of millions, and now the situation is not very good either. When he went out to search for supplies, he was attacked by a monster and narrowly escaped death. The internal organs were severely damaged. It took so long, did not receive timely medical treatment. He could feel that his life breath was rapidly draining away. Soon, like his colleagues, he will close his eyes permanently. Is this the end of everything? We have fought for so long and made so many efforts, but we still cannot resist the invasion of these monsters. Yang Mo clenched his teeth and muttered to himself. That's right, the Earth is currently experiencing an unprecedented disaster. Civilization trial. 1 year ago. A huge sky curtain enveloped the Earth and pulled it into it. Every other month, a monster appears randomly replaced on each citizen. They are full of tricks. First, he pretended to be an ordinary person, climbed up step by step, infected the top management, and launched the S3 season, dragged the world into chaos. Then, after the state machine was completely paralyzed, his true nature exposed, they are fierce and cruel, likes to torture and kill humans and then feed on them. Before them, 0.6 billion human civilizations can only survive 12 months, withstood 12 rounds of civilization trials, and now, yesterday, the United States was completely occupied by monsters and declared annihilated. China is the last surviving country. Yang Mo looked at the lifeless scene of Yanjing City outside on the screen. I sighed unwillingly. The fight lasted until the last minute. Really tried my best. All our compatriots are dead, the whole country is in mourning, and the whole world is dead. The monsters that descended from the trial of civilization are ferocious, brutal, and possess supernatural powers that cannot be resisted by human civilization on Earth. It's just that he is unwilling to do so, not willing to die like this, even more unwilling. The inheritance of 5,000 years of Chinese civilization, this country that has gone through countless hardships but has become stronger and stronger, just died like this. If I could do it all over again, then, Yang Mo smiled bitterly, and a ridiculous idea came to his mind before he died. Actually, after a year of civilized trials, countless compatriots died and were injured, but he and his colleagues, hiding in this dark basement, have obviously figured out a way to break the situation, but it's too late. The building has collapsed, the tide has fallen. Now that the entire China is occupied by monsters, the national machinery is paralyzed, the industrial system has collapsed, and there is no way to implement that plan. Science fiction heaven establishes an unparalleled foundation, suppresses the unknown in the heavens. Yang Mo thought silently about this ultimate plan created by gathering all the power of China. The eyes are getting darker and darker. It turned into a deep sigh. Consciousness fell into boundless silence. June 1, 2024 AD. Yanjing in the Supreme Emergency Meeting Hall. More than 200 experts, scholars, and researchers from all over the country are sitting there. There are those in the field of biology, there is the field of genetics, there are those who specialize in the study of rare creatures. The expressions on everyone's faces were extremely solemn. The person in charge of this meeting, Wang Yu, stood at the front, pointing to a series of photos on the big screen in the back. He said in a deep voice, just yesterday, a gray curtain shrouded the sky over the Earth. An unknown voice informed us that our Earth civilization has been included in the civilization trial. Every month, a certain number of monsters appear randomly in various countries. The monsters have the sole mission of destroying our civilization. But, he paused, looks puzzled, he muttered, according to the news from the civil affairs and the military, no trace of monsters has been found in our territory of China so far. Yesterday, that majestic voice enveloped the whole world, solemnly announcing that the trial of civilization has officially begun. Shocked, the entire Earth, including China's top executives, make response decisions as soon as possible and search for suspicious monsters across the country, but they all found nothing. Is it possible that this is a conspiracy from other countries? A biologist frowned and questioned, maybe it is to create some kind of conspiracy theory to make the world people are panicking and searching and investigating, thereby wasting manpower and material resources? Wang Yu glanced at him, his eyes moving around everyone word by sentence, said in a deep voice, I can tell you responsibly that this matter has nothing to do with other countries. The curtain in the sky appeared completely out of thin air without any warning, sealing off the entire Earth. Any technological means that attempt to break through the Earth, such as spaceships and rockets, have all failed. In fact, after that voice appeared, Huaxia immediately immobilized the scientific research team. After researching the curtain, I found that it is not just a background color, but more like an invisible cage. Secure the people on Earth inside. No one is allowed to escape of this method. No country on Earth has ever mastered IT. IT can only come from other unknown and mysterious forces below. After listening to Wang Yu's words, everyone realized the seriousness of the problem, and in a corner of the conference room, Yang Imo was looking at everything in front of him blankly, and his consciousness returned to his body. After reacting, he quickly looked at the current date and time. Chapter 2 Rebirth on the eve of disaster, looking ecstatic, 2024. June.1 is say, the day after the civilization trial started, he was actually reborn. Rebirth returned to the eve of the disaster, and returned to the second day after the civilization trial began. If he remembers correctly. At this time, all countries, although they have made certain responses, have not truly realized the crisis. Civilization trial. As the name suggests, only civilizations that pass the trial are qualified to continue. Failed. There is only destruction and burial in the ancient history of the Earth, and Wang Yu. He is the person in charge of the Chinese disaster response team. Everyone, the main purpose of convening us this time is to discuss a response plan. Our opponent this time is unknown and mysterious. But China, will not give in and will fight them to the end. The front. Wang Yu spoke in a deep voice again, looking at experts and scholars in various fields, start asking about countermeasures. These experts comes from the fields of biology, genetics, alien civilization research, aerospace research, and other fields. They are all top researchers in the country. At this moment, they all frowned and started thinking. Not long after. One feasible suggestion after another was released. The voice said that a certain number of monsters will descend every month, but currently our country is calm and peaceful. It is very likely that these monsters are hidden in the deep mountains and old forests. I suggest launching a nationwide investigation. According to the description of the civilization trial, these monsters have the ultimate goal, which is to destroy our civilization. We must act first and find them quickly. Improving the reporting mechanism. As long as you find traces of monsters, report them and you will be rewarded. In the conference hall, experts and scholars worked together and put forward various targeted suggestions, but focused. It's all about finding these monsters and killing or controlling them quickly. Maintain stability throughout China. However, Yang Mo in the corner couldn't help but frown after listening to these suggestions. This seemed exactly the same as what he experienced in his previous life. Previous lives. He is also one of these experts and scholars, actively participating in this discussion and trying to find solutions, but it turns out all the plans are of no use. Monster, he wasn't hiding in any deep mountains or forests at all, but he has become one ordinary person after another, hiding in normal people. They can disguise themselves as humans. And IT can also infect humans through special methods, and step-by-step control the upper echelons of human society. By the time Huaxia found out, it was already half a month later. That time, the vast majority of companies' CEOs, middle and low level leaders in China have become the monsters' allies. This brings great difficulties to the operation of destroying monsters. Rao is so. China still launched a nationwide purge operation with extremely amazing determination and execution. A strong man breaks his wrist, strongly suppressed all the monsters in the first civilization trial, but the same thing, injure the enemy 1000, and injure oneself 800. It is precisely because of this carelessness that China's vitality has been greatly damaged. Its national power has been sharply reduced, and its strength in all aspects is far less than before. Yang Mo, you haven't expressed your opinion. Do you have any different opinions? Suddenly Wang Yu noticed Yang Mo, who was out of place in the corner, frowned and asked. The words fell. In the conference room, more than 200 experts and scholars all stopped the discussion in unison. Turn around, the eyes focused on Yang Mo. Yang Mo was stared at by so many pairs of eyes, but he didn't panic at all. As stand up calmly looking at everyone, said bluntly, with all due respect, these plans proposed by everyone are a pure waste of time and will be of no use to the upcoming disaster. As soon as he said this, the experts and scholars present suddenly showed displeasure, just stared at Yang Mo. One of them stood up and asked coldly, tell me, why are our plans useless? For a while, the entire conference room, the atmosphere became tense. Yang Mo, tell me, why are these plans a waste of time? Wang Yu frowned, but gave Yang Mo a chance to explain. It's very simple. Yang Mo stepped forward confidently and pointed at a certain photo on the screen. Shen Shang said, the civilization trial has started yesterday, and monsters have also descended on various countries. However, 1 day has passed, but no abnormalities have been reported. Don't you find it strange? China, it's so big, with a population of 1.4 billion, it's normal for monsters to be hidden and not discovered for the time being. A sociology expert thought for a while and retorted. Yang Mo glanced at him. He then looked at the other people who agreed, and said something shocking. This expert's guess is correct, the monster is indeed hiding. It's just, they hide in human society, disguise themselves as ordinary people, and live and work normally with us. Yang Mo, the words just fell. The entire conference room, suddenly it exploded. Everyone stared at Yang Mo with wide eyes in disbelief. They were frightened by the conjecture proposed by Yang Mo. It's scary to think about it, those monsters can actually disguise themselves as humans, they work and live normally together. Then how to find traces of these invading monsters? Yang Mo, what you said is too unbelievable. Wang Yu looked deeply at Yang Mo and asked thoughtfully, do you have any evidence? Of course. Yang Mo held his head high and looked at the more than 200 experts and scholars present again. He said calmly, among the people attending the meeting today, there is one person who is a monster in disguise. As soon as he said this, the expressions of everyone present changed instantly. Look around, looking at the people around him. Shocked, doubtful, be alert, fear, all kinds of emotions. At this moment, Yang Mo suddenly took steps and walked towards the sociologist. Everyone was so frightened that they quickly retreated. The distance between Yang Mo and the sociologist was widened. Is it him? Wang Yu frowned and asked in a deep voice, can you prove that he is a monster in disguise? While speaking, he looked outside the door, ready to call the guards outside the door to enter at any time. I want to see how you can expose me as a monster. But the sociologist stood still, motionless, as if waiting to see Yang Mo's joke. No, it's not him. Unexpectedly, Yang Mo shook his head and passed him directly. The steps on my feet did not stop but continue walking towards the other corner of the conference room. Final, standing in front of a middle-aged woman wearing a white coat and gold-rimmed glasses, leaned down, smiled and asked, Director Zhou, can I ask where your husband and son are now? Chapter 3, Establish a Monster Research Institute. It is obviously an ordinary question, but it seemed to stimulate the other party. She stared at Yang Mo resentfully, her face becoming distorted. The body is bent at an angle beyond normal, the bones keep dislocating and colliding. In just 10 seconds. Her body has fewer and fewer human features. Eventually, it turned into a monster with a goat-headed face and scales all over its body, crawling on the ground, exudes a violent and bloodthirsty aura. Hiss. The entire conference room, the 200 experts and scholars who attended the meeting were so frightened that they gasped when they saw this. The pupils shrank sharply, rolling and crawling backwards, hiding behind Yang Mo. Especially the sociologist, who had refuted Yang Mo several times before, ran faster than anyone else. Jia Jia Jia, the sheep-headed monster's hideous laughter echoed in the conference room, and a fierce and violent murderous aura instantly filled the room. Guard! Guard! Wang Yu's expression changed drastically, and he quickly shouted towards the door. Not long after, 5 armed guards rushed in and were startled when they saw the sudden appearance of the monster, but they are soldiers. The psychological quality is extremely high. A short time. He calmed down and launched intensive sniper fire at the goat-headed monster, with the crackling sound of gunfire. The goat-headed monster that tried to pounce forward finally fell into a pool of blood. Damn, what the hell is this? The frightened people stepped forward one after another, curiously looking at the monster in the pool of blood, but he was struck by Yang Mo's words. I was so frightened that I almost lost my mind and hurriedly hid behind Yang Mo as if running away. Be careful, he's not dead yet. As expected, in a pool of blood, this monster with horns and a human face has been shot dozens of times, but its vitality is still extremely tenacious. The heart goes up and down, still beating powerfully. A pair of eyes. He stared at everyone, full of hatred and anger. Just the breath, it makes people feel palpitation and fear. Yang Mo, how do you know she is a monster in disguise? Wang Yu swallowed and looked at Yang Mo in confusion. Just now, if it weren't for Yang Mo's reminder, none of them would have discovered Director Zhou's identity. On her appearance, they are no different from humans. They actively participated in the discussion just now and put forward several practical national investigation plans. Think about it now, he felt scared for no reason. I will explain this to you separately later. She was probably descended by a monster after the civilization trial started yesterday. Her self-awareness was wiped out, and she was assimilated into a monster. My husband and children have probably been eaten. Yang Mo quietly looked at the ferocious monster in the pool of blood, his expression as usual. There is no wave in his expression. Before rebirth, he and his colleagues have faced various monsters. This is just a small scene. It's just, in the previous life, Director Zhou's identity was exposed very late. The third civilization trial has been postponed. It caused immeasurable losses to China, and countless of his comrades lost their lives for this. Therefore, only then would he directly expose his identity at the meeting. He has only eaten 2 people now. He is still very weak, so it is easier to deal with it. Yang Mo turned around and said in a deep voice, if we wait for him to eat 10, if you complete the advancement individually, everyone present will probably die. He finished his words. The expressions of more than 200 experts and scholars changed drastically again. Advanced monsters will also advance, and you can advance by eating people. That is to say, the strength of the monster will become more abnormal and more difficult to deal with. When everyone is shocked and frightened, Yang Mo continued, that's why I say that all the previous plans are useless. The early stage of the civilization trial is the golden opportunity to deal with monsters. Because they are also very weak. Once the monsters develop, you will have to pay 1,000 times or 100 times the price to deal with them. Yang Mo clenched his fists and looked at Wang Yu again, looking solemn. Word by word, he reminded, the time left for us is running out. That's it, he said no more. It left time for everyone to digest and react. Wang Yu and other experts and scholars were all shocked by Yang Mo's groundbreaking words. Falling into thought or original, they are still doubting the authenticity of what Yang Mo said, but the monster with a goat's head and a human face in the pool of blood has already explained everything. If it weren't for Yang Mo, they would still be deceived by the monster. Be with monsters, working together, share key meeting. Information. Just thinking about it made them feel creepy and frightened for a while. Since these solutions don't work, do you have any better solutions? After a while, Wang Yu raised his head and stared at Yang Mo in the eyes. There is a hint of expectation. When Yang Mo saw this scene, he felt slightly relieved. The reason why he did so much, just to attract Wang Yu's attention and gain his trust. His next plan. We must get the support of the top management and the support of the entire China. And Wang Yu is the general person in charge of this top emergency team. He has huge power. My plan is, he took a deep breath, turned around and wrote a line on the blackboard, establish a monster research institute. Wang Yu was stunned for a moment. Some people don't quite understand what Yang Mo means. Frowning his brows. Do you want to conduct scientific research on these monsters? The facts have been proven. The monster that descends has great suspicion and hatred towards human civilization. Bloodthirsty. Violence. It even feeds on humans. So far, Yang Mo is the first to propose research. Yes. Yang Mo nodded and said seriously, we know nothing about these monsters. The top priority is to establish the research institute, conduct systematic research on them to understand their characteristics and analyze their weaknesses, so that we can develop more targeted weapons and reduce casualties. As the saying goes, only by knowing yourself and the enemy can you fight without victory. Unbeatable. In previous lives, it is not that monster research institutes have not been established in various countries. It's just, they were established too late. Huaxia, which was the first to be established, only officially completed the preparations for the establishment of the Monster Research Institute in the second round, but, one step too late, every step too late, missed the best period. The first monsters to come, they have eaten a lot of human flesh and blood and have already developed. Analyzing weaknesses? Understand the characteristics? Research weapons? Wang Yu and others looked at each other and fell into deep thought again. Yang Mo's words, it opened up a whole new way of thinking for them. The monsters tested by civilization will only become more terrifying each time. The monsters we will face will become stronger and stronger, so strong that they can exceed our knowledge and imagination. BR when the technological level of human civilization cannot keep up with the intensity of monsters. What awaits us? Yang Mo looked solemn and said word by word, well, it is the annihilation of the race and the destruction of the civilization. Chapter 4 The world's first monster anatomy experiment. Hear the words, the whole place was silent for a moment. Everyone's face showed a look of shock. Yang Mo said, too alarmist, although this sudden civilization test was strange. They never thought that there would be a day when their race would be exterminated. China's splendid civilization that has been inherited for 5,000 years, will it be destroyed in their hands? Everyone. I'm definitely not being alarmist. Yang Mo looked at the crowd and said slowly, not to mention the distance, every monster that comes will immediately wipe out the host's consciousness and replace it, disguised in human society. Live and survive. Once they take control of those in high positions. Speaking of this, he paused and said no more. It leaves room for everyone's imagination, Wang Yu and others, but their faces became extremely ugly indeed. Yang Mo is absolutely right. Monsters come randomly. Once it takes up residence in someone in a high position, the damage caused will be immeasurable. The most troublesome thing is, these monsters are all proficient in disguise and hide in human society. He usually looks like an ordinary person, extremely difficult to find. If Yang Mo hadn't reminded them this time, they would still be stupidly discussing a plan to deal with the monster. In response to Yang Mo's proposal, let's vote. Wang Yu slowly raised his head and looked at everyone. Should we establish a monster research institute immediately, carry out research on monsters? Everyone's expressions moved slightly. Look at each other. After thinking briefly, decisions were made one after another. Everyone was convinced by Yang Mo's words just now and voted in favor. 221 votes agreed. Wang Yu looked at the final statistics and nodded. Then I declare that the Monster Research Institute will be established immediately. As for the first director, as a candidate, Wang Yu's eyes were pondering as he scanned the people participated in this meeting. They are all authorities in various fields, and there are many leading figures. Minister Wang, can you please take a step to speak? Seeing this, Yang Mo stood up again and spoke. Wang Yu was stunned for a moment. He nodded. Subsequently, under the watch of the guards, the two walked to another room. In another room, Yang Mo took a deep breath. He simply revealed the secret of his rebirth. What? Wang Yu's pupils flashed, his face full of shock. A few minutes later, he just digested the breaking news. He murmured in a low voice, you mean, China was destroyed in the previous life, and everyone, including me, died? Yang Mo nodded solemnly. How can I believe you? Wang Yu stared at Yang Mo and did not believe Yang Mo's words easily. In the previous life, you and your wife, Yang Mo spoke slowly and told Wang Yu the information he knew. It's all private matters about Wang Yu. Half an hour later, Wang Yu took Yang Mo back to the conference room, looking at everyone, said in a deep voice, I announce that the first candidate for the director of the Monster Research Institute is Yang Mo. The words just fell. The experts and scholars present all widened their eyes. I once suspected that I was delusional. They all looked at Wang Yu, but Wang Yu opposed all opinions and said in a deep voice, on behalf of China, I now grant the Monster Research Institute first-level authority. Regardless of the needs of the Research Institute, its personnel, supplies, weapons, scientific research equipment, etc., other departments will give priority to it. This matter is related to the future of the entire China and the safety of countless Chinese people. Yang Mo. He turned around and looked at Yang Mo, and solemnly warned, you must uncover all the monsters hidden in human society as soon as possible. After listening, Yang Mo revealed his identity. He already believed most of it, only then did he take the risk and hand over the position of director of the Monster Research Institute to Yang Mo. Despite all opinions, extraordinary times, extraordinary people should be used. As Yang Mo said, the longer the monster hides in human society, the greater the harm it will cause. Time is running out. The sooner the monster is discovered, the less of a threat it will be to China. Please rest assured, China. Yang Mo suppressed the excitement in his heart and nodded solemnly. Finally, he gained Wang Yu's trust and became the director of the Monster Research Institute. So he can then implement his plan better. In previous lives, China fought hard and resisted tenaciously. In the 12th round, the wisdom of scientific research teams across the country was gathered to develop a sci-fi heavenly plan that can suppress monsters. It's a pity, it's too late. The building has collapsed and the waves have capsized. In the end, there was no way to save the day, but this time, he has a great initiative at the beginning, and everything has a chance. That night, after the meeting, all the experts and scholars who attended the meeting left with mixed and anxious moods. As for the approval document for establishing a Monster Research Institute, at an astonishing speed, after many layers of approvals, and against all objections from Wang Yu, it was distributed to Yang Mo in Yanjing. The former site of the Ministry of Science and Technology has also been divided into the office area of the Monster Research Institute. And the military even mobilized a battalion of troops to take charge of the security and defense of the Monster Research Institute. Anyone, without approval from superiors or permission from Yang Mo, no one is allowed to enter. At the same time, each department has mobilized elite key personnel and assigned them to the Monster Research Institute. Even the monster lying in a pool of blood was transported to the institute, detained in a temporary prison made of super strong tungsten steel alloy. Just half a day from the Dean Yang Mo to the ordinary employees, the entire institute team was set up in an instant. Institute. A beautiful, tall woman wearing a professional uniform stood respectfully in front of Yang Mo. Dean, Zhao Ziyan is here to report. From now on, I will assist you in your daily work and take care of your daily life. She was originally a staff member of the Ministry of Science and Technology, although young, but he does things vigorously and resolutely, never sloppily. It belonged to the elite of the elite. Wang Yu transferred her here mainly to assist Yang Mo and promote the progress of the research institute. Old Zhao? Yang Mo looked at the beautiful assistant in front of him, looking a little dazed. In the past life, Zhao Ziyan is his colleague and once fought alongside him. She is obviously a delicate woman. Get to work. But he works harder than men. Eventually, in an unexpected incident when dealing with a monster, he died together with the monster and was buried in a rocket launcher. House, Dean, are you calling me? Zhao Ziyan was stunned for a moment and asked uncertainly. Yang Mo finally came back to his senses, and the figure in front of him gradually overlapped with that in his memory. Smile slightly, take the initiative to reach out. Hello, nice to meet you. Dean Yang, our research institute has been established. Zhao Ziyan was serious about her words and just asked respectfully, may I ask what your next step is? Yang Mo didn't take it seriously and shrugged. Immediately issued an order. Notify all scientific researchers in the hospital to prepare for the first monster anatomy experiment. Yes. Zhao Ziyan agreed, and then leave in a hurry, crisp and neat. Half an hour later, under the notice of Zhao Ziyan, the scientific researchers temporarily transferred from the institute gathered in a laboratory. In the laboratory, IT is filled with densely packed scientific research instruments. They are all transferred from other departments and are the top equipment in China. Soon. A monster, which was tightly bound by 10 alloy chains, was carried in by 3 soldiers with live ammunition. Dean, his injuries seem to be recovering quickly. Are you sure you want to study him? The leader of the soldiers said in a deep voice, but his eyes were firmly fixed on the monster, as if he was facing a formidable enemy. Lao Shang, don't worry, he can't change the world. Yang Mo waved his hand and motioned for the scientific researchers behind him to step forward. The monster, which kept roaring and showing its fierce look, was carried onto the dissecting table. House. Dean, do you know me? The soldier who just spoke was stunned for a moment and looked at Yang Mo in surprise. Yang Mo smiled slightly. No answered. He is more than just acquaintance. I in the past life. Asa colleague. He and Zhang Yangguang fought side by side, and together they killed no less than 100 monsters. The two of them are comrades who can trust each other in life and death. Original. The two will not get to know each other until the Monster Research Institute is established 3 months later, but this time, because of his proposal, the Monster Research Institute was established in advance.